we we went very much in depth with the future when it comes to like the economy and stuff like that. What is something that you want to kind of like, where do you want to take the conversation?
Um, I don't know.
Was there like anything that I said that stood out to you?
Um, Really, there's the you can't change people, and I think
Mm,
that's something that's a really big theme with people in general. Is that a lot of people just try to change people too much, and I think that that's where a lot of that resistance also comes from because people think that they know everything while also like thinking that can't nobody tell them nothing. Even people who like they are aware, okay, I don't know this, they still get defensive when someone tells them like, hey, you don't know this. Like it's kind of like, what's the point in all that? Like I feel like people do a lot of unnecessary and unsolicited too, like giving advice, but a lot of just unnecessarily being defensive. And I think that's just another problem with the world, honestly. Like people are just too defensive and too aggressive with one another. Like we can't just say give somebody constructive criticism without them like taking it personally or taking it really to heart. And I think that's why nobody really grows because people don't really want to tell you the truth about yourself because they want to spare you from whatever pain that you're going to make yourself feel from how you take it. But like if someone's being like honest and open and like not being condescending and not being demeaning, I think a lot of the times it is just a matter of how you take it, your perception, and then how you feel about it. And instead of just working it out with yourself, like instead of healing, people go like I just feel like people are very reductive almost. Like we need like a higher way. I guess more people need to be emotionally intelligent, but we need like a better way of understanding one another, which is honestly I didn't know this was leading me here, but like I feel like that's why we need a language without words because it kind of just murks everything. And when people start to think too much, they start to murk what they know. So I think it's just thinking in general, a lot of thinking, overthinking, and then that thinking, because these are our thoughts and our thoughts are based on our perception, turns into projection too. So, yeah.
like the meaning that we give to our past experience, the words and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. Like it is words because words put you in your brain and it takes you out of your presence and feeling. So yeah. And you see, that's funny you say that because a part of this new chapter, this new era that we're going to step into very soon is exactly what you said. We're not going to be using words the same way we were in the past. We're going to be using telepathy.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you see how even there's no way around it? Like people that we would both consider defensive are naturally going to start realizing, damn, bro, I'm sitting here being so defensive and being aggressive, and they're gonna know deep down inside that they own bullshit. They gonna know, and
But I
then they're
think
gonna
they
be able to.
already know, honestly.
They do know. They do know, and the only difference is they're gonna be able to look at people like you and me and be like, okay, that's how I can be there, or I can align myself with this, and then we won't even have to tell them.
Mm.
That's why I love doing stuff like this. That's why I like making content. It's because why waste my time trying to tell you? I can just
Yeah.
show you.
I'm definitely a lead by example type of person too.
You feel me? So I'm learning. Oh yeah, that's what we need to do. We just need to be having conversations like this in public, creating spaces for people to really, you know, bring that energy and be like, okay, these are like-minded people, and we can channel all our energy into bringing in things that resonates with us. That's how I look at it.
Definitely.
Because vibration, I forget, it's one of my favorite YouTubers in this space. His name is Brian Withers. He talks about how vibration is the currency of life, not money. And from that perspective now, understanding that, being grounded in that, it hits differently. Because I'm like, yeah, it is the vibration. Because like, I love when like my girl would just send me random text, random appreciation, or my mom will buy me some snacks without me having to ask. Like that shit hits better than any direct deposit. Like feeling loved, feeling seen, vibration trumps everything. Like I wouldn't want to just have money without how I feel right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's just it sounds like cheesy, corny, cool, but like real niggas understand what that means. Like it's who you are, the energy will always supersede just what you see in the 3D, you know.
definitely. Because if you don't have that backing everything you do, then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Hmm. So anything else stick out?
Um, Shoot, I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't have to
Um,
be directly related. That's not how I was going about it. I was just going off of what do we feel like we want to talk about. Because we're gonna get the inspiration that needs to be talked about right now.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna just let it flow. I'm gonna just let it flow.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine. There's no pressure.
um, what's something? I mean, just bouncing off like perception is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, see my Malcolm X poster in the background.
Yep,
I
I see
love
it.
Malcolm X. And then over here, I got all the greats over here.
Mm.
So,
Obama back there.
yeah, that's Obama, Nelson Mandela,
Nelson Mandela.
MLK, and Malcolm X.
Okay, okay.
But so I was thinking about this a lot on how perception applies to the black community. And because I'm a very like political person, and looking at how perception has very much like our perception has been warped through several lenses. So like first like colonization, which is why like I tell everybody the first stage to everything is to decolonize your mind, because colonization is programming. That is the first step into the matrix, was getting and receiving the colonizer's mentality and the colonizer's ideas. So the black people, the black community, we still have that ingrained inside of us. The colonizer's mentality. We still have it ingrained inside of us through generational curses or generational lessons or whatever, passed down from parent to parent, auntie to auntie, sister to sister, whatever, what have you. And then you have that separate lens of not only just the colonizer's mentality, but the slave's mentality, then the Christian's mentality. So I think that,
It's a lot of layers.
yeah, it is a lot of layers that you have to like really cut through. But I think the most important thing for black people is to decentralize the monolith.
Mm.
So I think a lot of
Go
black
deeper with
people,
that.
so when I say decentralize the monolith, I mean decentralize the idea that you are not, that you are a part of, but you are not of. Like you are a part of, you make up a machine, let's put it like that. But you're not the machine. Like you don't have the capability to be the machine. And one of my like biggest things with the black community is, and I think this is something that really stretches farther than our community, but it's like the only thing I've analyzed is our community. People don't believe that they're leaders anymore. People don't believe that they are leaders in their own right, because the colonizer teaches you that you're not. And then on top of the colonizer teaching you that, then the slave master is teaching you that because you have a master and you're a slave. Then Christianity is teaching you that because you are under God's rule and not your own. So it's just a lot of, I can never get myself out of this situation. I have to depend on something else. Even when the slaves were enslaved, they didn't free themselves. It was always that one slave that was doing the work. You know, it was always that one Moses. And that Moses was always somehow ordained or inspired by God or some other person or some other thing. It never seemed like that power came from like inside of them. So I think that that's the biggest perception shift that we have to make overall, like as a big collective, is that you are a leader in your own right. You have the ability to change things in your own right, because people are still looking for a leader. And I think that's why a lot of people are never going to see the freedom that they seek truly, because they're still looking for a leader. Like, we're still looking for someone to come out the woodwork and say, hey, follow me, do what I'm doing. Instead of you getting up and saying, hey, I'm going to do what I do, and y'all can follow me and we can do what we do. But it's not like, come do what I do, it's come do what we do. And I think that just like you was mentioning for Birmingham, I made that because I wanted to put an emphasis on the loss of community in the black community. We don't have a real community anymore. We're not a community. We are a monolith. There's no community. We are the black community, but what is the black community? And I wrote an essay where I questioned what is blackness and what is blackness, what is black culture, where does it come from? Everyone is going to tell you the same thing, struggle. Everyone is going to tell you that it's all going to lead back to slavery and segregation and prejudice and coming out of being torn down and all this other stuff, right? We don't have a real identifier besides our struggle. So we don't have a real identifier besides the matrix, because we don't have a real identifier besides colonization and the effects that that had on us as a community. So
Right.
I think it's just like when I was talking about earlier about detaching from the matrix completely. We as like a community and people in general have to detach from the old ideas of their community, of their people, and completely start anew in order for there to not be any corruption in it. Because black people, like, we took all those ideas, we took all those everything. Like, we took everything and we put it all into our culture. Even though we transformed a lot of it, at the root, those things still exist there. At the root, those things still what they were. Like nigga. At the end of the day, that still was nigger, and nigger was a slur. You know what I'm saying? You don't let your children wear red lipstick and red fingernail polish. Why? Because at the root, black women were over sexualized by slave masters, which in turn led to them being over sexualized by their own brothers and fathers. And this is why you protect your brother, and you protect your husband when he does something to the daughter and what have you, because historically that's where that stems from. So it's like people don't really go as far to address that. And I think that we have to really dig super deep into all of our structures, not even just the black community, but every single structure that exists. Like, we have to unearth it, because if we don't, it's still going to produce the same rotten fruit. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to shifting their perspective, they're not willing to, because a lot of people aren't willing to like accept that as a community we haven't gotten as far as we think we have, because we are still chained. And a lot of people like to like believe we're free, but we're not free. We're still chained by those systems and by those institutions, and it holds us back every single day. Black people and their depiction of the devil has to be like, I feel like one of the most reductive things ever. It stopped us in so many ways, because black people are prone to, and I feel like have always probably been prone to having like PTSD, anxiety, all these other mental health issues, just because of the environments that not only our ancestors grew up in, but a lot of black people still exist in today. And instead of tackling that and confronting that, we are saying that's the devil. Instead of saying, it's my own thoughts trying to, I need to reverse this or say some affirmations or make myself feel better about myself, I'm going to say, no, that's the devil. And that not only gets the responsibility and the accountability off the person, but it also gets the responsibility and the accountability off of the people around you and the world at large, because you blaming the devil for everything that you should be blaming the government for. You blaming the devil for everything you should be blaming your mama for. Like, there's accountability that needs to be took, and people are always, again, with that monolith. They're always blaming one thing. They're always becoming one thing. There always is one thing. There is no polarity, really, no duality that exists in the black community, because we're not allowed to be anything other than black. Like, I think it was like 1/15th or 3/15th of a drop black or whatever. If you were even a drop of black, you were black. You're not allowed to be anything outside of that blackness, and you're not allowed to be anything outside of that ickiness that's associated with it, because that is who they tell you that you are. So I think that we got to get out of that is who they tell me that I am, because that's not who you are. Like, they will tell you you're one thing, you don't even know who you are. Black people search for an identity, but we don't have an identity with anything that we left behind. We're not Africans. Like, we're literally not. Genealogy wise, we're not. Like, look at me. Like, there's no way. It's no way. We are a mix of different things, but we're not just one of those things. We're all of those things together. Like, most black people, most African Americans have white in our skin. I mean, in our blood. We have white, Native American. Some people have like Mexican and all other types of stuff from South America, because they came up and all this other stuff. Like, we are complex people, and we deny our complexity to assimilate. And it's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, because we are so big and so beautiful, and we claim to love our blackness, but what really is that blackness? Like, what really are we claiming to love at the end of the day? Are we claiming to love the idea of the big, strong, healthy black woman and man who can lift somebody up and get everybody out of everything, the slave? Or are we claiming to love who we are culturally, genetically, physically as a people? But we're not, because if we were, then we wouldn't have so many problems with, again, how we're perceived, our phenotype, colorism, texturism, all of these isms and categories that we place ourselves into according to what somebody else believes. I mean, we're like, we're getting there, but then we're just missing the point completely, to me. And people say, like, black excellence, black billionaires, that's getting there, that's missing the point completely. you know we just keep getting there and missing the point, just getting there and just going in all different types of directions, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I don't know, it's like a big shift of how we see ourselves and how we see our worth. Even black people don't know their worth, they don't know the worth of anything that they do. Like, how just one step that we take in the world helps the rest of the world. People don't see themselves as that big. And it's a matter of really just major perspective shifts, I feel like, for us to really like skirt and grow. Because I feel like we could be from here to here by tomorrow if people would only realize, like, you are actually free. Like, you're not a slave anymore. You don't have to abide by certain things and certain principles. And they have to wake up to the reality that they're still in chains. Like, even going to college, like, you're still in a chain. That's still a version of a chain. Going to work, being successful, being rich, having kids, having a husband and a wife. Why do you want those things? To assimilate, to be like the rest of white society. Why do we care so much about being like white society? Why do we care so much about their acceptance? Why do we want so badly to be like them, to be led like them, to live like them, to walk like them, to talk like them? Who cares who they are? Who are we, right? And it's, again, like, we don't know that. We don't know that outside of our own struggle, because we don't know who we are in the absence of whiteness. And not knowing who we are in the absence of whiteness is what keeps us down and keeps us away from knowing who we are in the acceptance of our full black.
Perfect, and we were just victimized. It's not black and white. It's not this or that. It's so much more nuanced, and just us seeing things more clearly, seeing the bigger picture, and not looking to be offended and not looking to be a victim. It actually, I know it helps just from my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel?
Honestly, like, when I'm saying white stuff and black stuff, it's more of a mentality thing. So the white man's mentality that they brought over from Europe versus the mentality that we already had pre that, right? Because what they brought over was a mentality of desolation. That's something that was extremely unique to them, in the way that they went about colonization.
What's the
And
definition of desolation?
desolation, let's see. Well, it means to be desolate, a state of complete emptiness or destruction.
Okay.
Because they had already destroyed Europe, so they came to do that other places. They came to uproot other places. So, to me, white people are a very specific specimen, if that makes sense. Like, they very much like interest me in everything that they like moved around, how they moved around historically, because they did things that you don't see other people doing. Especially like the Spanish conquistadors, the French, like, they were very much ruthless individuals, and on top of that, they were programmers. Like, they were going into people's places and literally reprogramming their minds with religion and stuff like this before actually like killing them and taking over. I mean, other people
Very
would have
low
just
vibrational vibes. So I'm following you, right? This is I'm working with you. I wanna bring my perspective and add it to what you're saying and see how you feel about it. Because earlier you said about how the duality, right? We could say that, them folks, their way about going about things and their antics and that, that desolate nature, that's this, right? We have this side of the polarity, the duality. we also have the divine, you know what I'm saying, light, positive vibe over here, polar opposites. Earlier, you were mentioning how we have to stop judging it as good or bad, because when we judge it, it lowers our awareness and our vibration unintentionally. And if we remember what our vibe is, where we're at frequency wise, and we move with that awareness and understanding, we're naturally going to find ourselves in a reality where all this shit, it won't work. But going back to, I want to validate what you're saying. The white shit, them folks, they got us mentally and spiritually. We were disconnected from our power. I wouldn't even say blackness. I would just say our power. Okay? And now, the way the collective consciousness is rising, the frequency of earth is rising, everything we were talking about with the money, it's in all aspects of life. It's not just white, black, it's not just money. It's everything. Everyone's awareness and clarity is rising. I know that the more people start to see this truth and get privy to even the conversation we're having right now, they're going to realize I don't really agree with most of the shit that I was programmed with. Even my parents, we have these conversations all the time. But here's the thing, Kailan, you even alluded to this earlier, the false matrix, the programming. A lot of us black people know black history. We know all this shit. But why is it that we still keep doing what we're doing and kind of turn a blind eye to it? It's because we're comfortable. And I need you to understand who you're talking to. You're talking to someone that's on the black shit. I'm a leader. I'm ready to fight, go to war. Cool. But it's like, I was watching a video from this UFO enthusiast guy. I think his name was Stephen Greer. And he was talking about how a lot of people don't have courage. Like, they're really not willing to like really step behind what they are talking about. And I understand now what he means by that, because everyone will watch. They're gonna watch this content. They follow me on TikTok. They consume our content. They say, yes, this resonates. I claim this. But when it comes to applying it in real life,
They
it's
don't.
quick.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? And so what I know now is everything starts energetically, but we tend to focus on how things look, and then we react to the 3D illusion. Back to our first talks. And that's what prevents the growth, because if you're looking at the illusion, looking for change, you're going to be stuck. And that's what most of us do. We look at white supremacy and we're like, nothing's changing. But it's like, it doesn't matter. How do you feel? How are you processing your reality? If you feel like nothing's changing because you don't see difference, how will you ever have change? It's like the thing Bashar always says, looking in the mirror. If you're frowning into the mirror and you're expecting to see a smile back, you are insane. You're not going to see a smile back. You have to smile first in order to see the smile in the mirror. And I don't think it's any different when it comes to any adversity or desolation we experience in life. It starts with what we believe to be true, and we got to step behind what we really believe. And what I mean by stepping is holding that frequency. Because when you hold a frequency and you know that you know who you are, it don't matter what no one says. If you just align with your frequency, can nothing harm you. How do I know this? Because of my life. I've been in situations where people have tried their hardest and you just can't do nothing because of the frequency I have. You even told me, you said someone tried to fight you. You're like, don't touch me. You see that, but you see, most people don't know they have that power. But I know the reason why I'm supposed to be talking in public and having a platform is to remind people, you know, you have power, right? Like, you know, you're not who you've been conditioned to think you are. And it just takes you just to start really experiencing little tastes of it for you to start realizing, oh shit, I do have this power. And that's my goal. It's not to get you to understand. It's literally just to plant that seed. Because I know what happens when people plant seeds for me. You can't unhear things. That's what my coach told me. He was like, people are not going to be able to unhear what I'm saying. Like, when you just get certain access to awareness, you can't go back to ignoring that clarity.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I'm not worried about what them folks got going on. They gonna have to, like, they're doing what they're doing. They don't have any empathy. They don't care. That's what they did. What they did. So why am I gonna choose to now be angry? No, I'm going to hold my frequency and let you stay in that vibration. Let you fizzle out, right? Because you can't get to me. Because I know the truth, and I'm a stand on it. That's, you see, that's a very big caveat. I'm standing on this. So I don't advise this. Disclaimer: I don't advise for you to act on what I'm saying if you're not going to stand on it. This is for people that are leaders. You're going to stand on it, because this is not for everyone. Everyone can't, have that type of boldness in life. But for people that you resonate with this energy, you have to stand on it. That's all I'm saying. Because I've stand on it. I argue with my parents, argue with, like, it really get heated because I'm not a victim. I don't play that. But it's like, I understand why people go along with certain things because it's easier, you know. Teach his own.
I mean, I think it's, of course, a two-sided sword. Like, while some people adopt the victim mentality, I think some people it's forced upon them. And
Right.
today it gets tricky because people are very aware at the same time. They're aware, but they're still stuck because there's still not much that they can do. Because most people, like, we don't wake up on our own, right? Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, people are triggered into waking up by either an event or something else or blah, blah, blah. So I think that it's more, to me, like, I don't really blame black people
Of
for
course.
our inability to wake up as a collective. I don't really blame the world for that because it's really not something that they can be blamed for.
It's a process. It's a
Yeah,
spectrum.
definitely. So when it comes to like the whole black and white thing, personally, I think that in like a few years, probably less, I don't know, but like a decade
It's
or
gonna be
less,
over with.
it's gonna be very much mixed and matched. Like we won't be able to see our races for real. But I think that the whole notion of culture is so important because as humans, we have to avoid the monolith. We have to avoid that all lives matter shit because all lives don't matter. We have to avoid the but for real though, like we have to avoid taking out the nuance. And I think that race was that physical indicator of that nuance. You didn't have to tell anybody who you were because they saw fully who you are, right? That's what culture is to me. Is it removes that aspect of, oh, we are so the same, because we're not so the same, and we don't have to be so the same to be one, because oneness is not sameness, it's not identicalness. We as humans need individuality, and our culture is shaped by our identity and vice versa.
So,
And
question, just for clarity: the culture, as you're explaining it, does this culture, specifically this black culture, allow for individuality?
yes,
Okay. Okay.
when I'm saying like culture, I'm speaking like globally. Like if we all stopped looking, future generations, we all look racially ambiguous, whatever, there is no more race. There's
Mm-hmm.
people still want to divide themselves, and it's not to create a negative version of division, because division is good, division is great. People shouldn't all be together. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we all identify with certain things, and while we should all come together and understand that identification of one another and not like associate it or categorize it as bad, good, or whatever,
So
we
it's high
should,
vibrational culture.
yeah, like,
That's all. I was just mitigating. My mind just is. I'm logical. You know what I'm saying? My mind was just fixating on, like, tribalism, because
oh
it's
no.
natural. You feel me? Like, it's natural when people like, oh, I like Beyonce. I like Megan. It's like, bruh, you can like what you like, but do you see how it's natural for us in the past and current times? People just naturally want to compare everything.
Yeah, and I think that that right there, that comparison is, comparison is the thief of all joy. And that
Yes.
comparison fades away when you stop thinking of things as better than or less than
Right.
bad or good. And I'm really like a big Thomas Hobbes fan. I think everybody should read Leviathan and read up on his anarchist theory, because it really does connect to spirituality in a very odd way. But this is like a socio-political theory that I feel like everybody should know is that everything is based off your perspective at the end of the day. So if you like that comparison, I think that comparison is ego led. And if we're like in a future where there is no emphasis on your ego and your self like importance, it's more about your self expression and less about
That's a bar.
excuse me, I'm sick, but but yeah, I think that's really just what it's gonna have to be about because I think again, like too many people, like with the all lives matter stuff, too many people see a world where everybody is the same so we get along. No, we have to get along despite us not being the same. That's the point. That's why we have these different languages and cultures and races because if everybody was like you would have no choice but to accept them because you have to accept yourself. But if people are different than you, it teaches you a different layer of acceptance.
So would you say that people that desire to have a world where everyone is the same, is that like that's almost that's very low vibrational kind of when you think about that. Like that diminishes authenticity. Like that goes against naturally what our souls came here to do, which is to
That
express.
that is the ultimate goal of the Matrix. Because
Right.
when we think about it, like America, everybody comes here and assimilates into one thing, the white man and the white woman. You're all
Mm-hmm.
trying to get to that point of being just like them. And that is what that worldscape would look like. Because you, at the end of the day, if everybody looks the same, then that sameness has to be based on something. It has to be based on some type of image. It has to be based on something that you're putting first, and that is
Someone's
where
ideal.
yeah, that's where that white supremacy comes from. And then on top of that, you're going to have certain expectations for each person because we're all the same. You know, we're all the same. You should be exactly like me. But no, because that just takes out that individuality. And I think people who think like that is very primitive. And I think it's a way for them not to do the hard work, not to have accountability. Because it's mostly white people, privileged people who think that way of everybody is the same or everybody should be the same because that's disrespectful to people who want to acknowledge the differences. Like people act like differences is such a bad thing. It's a great thing to be different. It's an amazing thing to be different than the person next to you because that means y'all all bring something different to the table. And that's why in my mind when people are talking about how communism means no iPhones and all this other stupid stuff, it's because they perceive themselves and other people around them as just like they are, adding nothing to society. So if you feel like you're not going to add anything to society, you're feeling like nobody else is either without that competition. It's just like, again, projection, a lot of projection.
Right. And
Like,
you don't want people to be better than you, so you want
yeah,
to everyone not have access to certain
yeah.
things. Yeah.
People are, I don't know. I would say slow, but I think that's there's a better definition out there. But
Remedial.
yeah, yeah, primitive, because
Primitive, yeah.
it's insane. It really is, and the world that we like live in is just so upside down to me. Like it just has never made sense to me. And people even now, like I'm having a talk with someone and we're talking about like the world and everything, and I'm just like I feel like such an oddball right now because like our perspectives are just so extremely different, and it's like but like they could only be so similar if there was just one like common denominator, which is acceptance. Like I think that's just
Yes.
what a lot of people have to get into the vibe of, is just accepting things and accepting themselves first of all, because the world is not gonna like change in such a drastic way to where I feel like it's gonna make everybody comfortable. We're gonna have to be uncomfortable to get back comfortable, and this is just a time where people are gonna have to accept that and move on. Because if they don't, then they're definitely gonna get left behind in some way, shape, or form.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I think we got our shit off. I think that's more than enough for today.
But okay.